Okay, so good evening po at ang papag-usapan po natin for today's video is the most recent independent audits report po ng Commission on Audit regarding the funds for the budget of the Office of the Vice President for the year 2024. Okay, so medyo madami po kasing misconception about this. So mag-explain na lang po tayo kung ano ba talaga yung value ng mga ganitong audit report at kung ano yung ibig sabihin ba talaga ng mga unmodified opinion na yan. Okay? So of course, for those of you who are not aware, yung may trabaho po kasi para mag-audit nung funds ng mga government offices, one of which is the Office of the Vice President. Yung Office of the Vice President po kasi it's considered as a national government agency or an NGA. So anyway po, yung may jurisdiction po niyan or yung may trabaho po niyan sa government natin is yung Commission on Audit. Okay, so kung makita nyo, by the very name itself of the Commission, COA po talaga ang may function to audit. Okay? At yung ibig sabihin naman po ng audit, it is the review of the transactions po ng isang government office kung paano na gamit yung pondo na yun. Kung tama ba, may violations ba, mayroon bang mga illegal transactions, so on and so forth. Yun po yung purpose ng isang audit. Okay? Para tingnan po kung meron bang anomalies or malinis ba yung paggamit ng pondo. Okay, and isa pa pong gusto ko lang din idagdag, yung Commission on Audit po actually, it is a constitutional commission po yan. Meaning, it is a government office, it is a commission, to be specific, that is created po expressly by the Constitution. Okay, tapos yung audit function po ng COA, it is constitutionally granted also to it. Tapos ang isa pa pong ibig sabihin or importance sa mga constitutional commissions is that although they are in a sense po parang under sila ng executive branch, however, being a constitutional commission, they are independent po from the executive branch. Meaning, yung functions nila, they do not answer or follow po the directives of the executive branch. Okay? Again, independent po yung mga constitutional commissions natin. So kung makita po ninyo, ganyan po ka-powerful yung Commission on Audit. Okay? So isa pa pong commission is of course the Commission on Elections, pero that is going to be a discussion for another video. Ngayon po, focus lang tayo sa Commission on Audit. So kung makita po niyo, Republic of the Philippines, Commission on Audit, Commonwealth Avenue, Quezon City, Independent Auditors Report. The Honorable Vice President, Republic of the Philippines, 11th floor, Robinson Cybergate Plaza, EDSA Corner, Pioneer Street, Mandaluyong City. So ito pong binabasa ko pala is a news article from News 5. So this has already been heavily covered naman na po by the mainstream media. So you can just search for this kung gusto ninyo. Pero anyway, ito po yung sinabi. Opinion, and then we have audited the accompanying financial statements of the Office of the Vice President, which comprise the statement of financial position as of December 31, 2024, and a statement of financial performance, statement of cash flow, statement of changes in net assets / equity, statement of comparison of budget and actual amounts for the year, then ended, and notes of financial statements including summary of significant accounting policies. So in summary po, ibig sabihin lang nito, in-audit nila talaga yung buong pondo ng OVP up to December 31, 2024. Okay? Tapos after po nila in-audit yun, ngayon nagbigay na sila ng opinion dito sa second paragraph. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects. The financial position of OVP as of December 31, 2024 and its financial performance, cash flows, changes in net assets / equity, and comparison of budget and actual amounts of the year, then ended, and notes of financial statement including summary of significant accounts policies in accordance with international public sector accounting standards. Okay, so yung pinaka-important pong iti-take note natin dito is that yung financial statements daw present fairly in all material respects na yung financial position of OVP as of this date, December 31, 2024 ay nasunod daw in accordance dun sa international public sector accounting standards. Kasi ganyan po kasi yan, di ba? Pag nagre-review po na or pag nagsa-certify ng mga certain bagay, usually meron yan silang basis, di ba, kung bakit nila na-certify to a certain extent yung mga bagay-bagay. So dito po yung basis ng nature or yung type ng pag-audit is nakabase po dito sa International Public Sector Accounting Standards or IPSASS. Okay, so and based po dito sa IPSASS, nagsunod po or nag-comply yung OVP to that set of standards ng IPSASS. Okay, so yan po yan. Okay, next naman po dyan is basis for opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards of supreme audit institutions. Pero anyway, I'm assuming po na gets nyo naman na yung main point ko talaga dito. So if you want to read this po, you can read this naman verbatim. I-search nyo na lang po, lalabas naman na to siya. Because again, this has already been heavily covered by the mainstream media. Pero in summary po, ito yung summary niyan. OVP receives unmodified opinion from COA. Tapos in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects. Okay? So ngayon, ang next question po natin. So ang sagot po dyan is nandito po yan sa Commission on Audit mismo, sa website po nila. Specifically sa FAQs po, Frequently Asked Questions portion ng website ng Commission on Audit. So masasearch naman po ninyo yan. Ayan, Home, Frequently Asked Questions, General, what is an unmodified opinion? So ito po, tingnan natin, basahin po natin. An unmodified opinion, also referred to as unqualified opinion, is an opinion. Of course, kaya nga opinion, di ba? Issued when the auditor concludes that the financial statements are prepared in all material respects in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework. Okay? So for this purpose, the auditor's evaluation includes due consideration of quantitative and qualitative materiality established based on the prescribed COA's audit guidelines. As such, an unmodified/unqualified opinion does not necessarily mean that there were no misstatements found during the audit, nor there were no uncorrected misstatements as at year end. It is possible that the misstatements found during the audit were already corrected by the audited agency, or that the incorrect misstatements are not material quantitatively and qualitatively. Moreover, this does not entail that the audited agency fully complies with all the laws, rules, and regulations, or that the use of funds on the agency's programs, projects, and activities are economical, effective, or efficient. Okay, so anyway po, ang main summary lang natin dito, unang-una, yung unmodified opinion daw, pag nakabase siya dun sa applicable financial reporting framework, tong PFRS, IPSAS, as prepared po ng government office, as submitted to the COA, and as reviewed by the COA. Pero kung makita rin po ninyo dito sa next paragraph, sinabi rin ng COA dito na yung unmodified/unqualified opinion does not necessarily mean that there were no misstatements found during the audit. So meaning, posible pong nagkaroon ng misstatements, pero again, kinlarify yan ngayon naman ng COA sa next sentence. Kasi sabi rin nila dito that the misstatements found during the audit were already corrected, or that the uncorrected misstatements are not material quantitatively and qualitatively. So yung ibig sabihin po, posibleng nagkaroon ng misstatements pero naayos na or na-solve na po between COA and the government office, or possible din na yung misstatements are very minimal na hindi siya magka-qualify na mako-consider as violation of the auditing standards na sinusunod ng COA. Okay? And yung last pang kinlarify dito ng COA is hindi porket may unmodified opinion is ibig sabihin daw na fully compliant yung government office na yun sa laws, rules, and regulations as to the use of its funds. So in short, posible pa rin pong nagkaroon talaga ng lapses or may lapses pa rin po yung isang government agency despite the unmodified opinion of COA. Okay, so ngayon, ang next question po natin. So ang rason po kung bakit yan inuulit-ulit talaga ng COA na nag-comply lang yung government office sa auditing standards nila when they issue an unmodified opinion is because of the function po and the nature of the Commission on Audit. Okay? So yung sagot po dyan is nasa name po mismo ng COA. Diba? Kung titingnan po ninyo, it is the Commission on Audit. Meaning, ang trabaho po niya is mag-audit lang. Kaya titingnan lang po talaga niya is whether or not nasunod ba yung auditing standards na ginagamit nila. And kung nasunod yun, of course, they will issue an unmodified opinion. Okay? And yun nga po, since audit yung trabaho nila, yung main trabaho po ng COA, hindi po pasok sa power nila yung mag-prosecute ng mga criminal cases. Okay? So kung meron pong mga potential criminal violations, criminal lapses, yung dapat po mag-investigate dyan at mag-prosecute is none other than the Department of Justice. Yung DOJ po yung may jurisdiction dyan. Okay? Kaya again, yun yung rason kung bakit inuulit-ulit to ng COA na posible daw may misstatements, posibleng may laws, rules, and regulations pa rin na violate despite the unmodified opinion, because yun nga po, limited lang yung function ng COA to auditing. Prosecution and investigation, dapat DOJ na po primarily yung mag-handle niyan. Okay? At hindi ko po sinabi na because of this explanation, ibig sabihin may violate na agad yung OVP. Hindi rin po yun ganun. At present lang po, tingnan lang natin, there is an issuance of an unmodified opinion, tapos wala pa naman tayong nakikita ang actual criminal cases filed against the OVP. At dahil po dyan, ngayon punta na po tayo sa most interesting question of the night in my opinion. Ang isa pong unmodified opinion, despite it simply touching on the auditing standards na comply ng isang government office, importante pa rin po yan kahit na yun nga auditing side lang yung hinahawakan niya. Kasi po, dahil po sa isang unmodified opinion, meron ngayon papasok na tinatawag natin na principle of presumption of regularity as to the spending of the public funds by the office of the Vice President. Okay, so ano po ba ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin po niyan ngayon, lahat ng paggastos ng Vice President ng Office Office of the Vice President, presumed regular yan siya at present. Since again, wala pa namang any evidence to the contrary. Therefore, because there is an unmodified opinion from COA, the presumption is regular at tama yung paggastos ng OVP sa pondo nila for the year 2024. Okay? So yan po yung importance niyan. Okay? So pangit naman po kung sabihin niyo na walang value yung mga unmodified opinion na yan, ganyan-ganyan, kasi posible pa rin may mga criminal law violations, mga rules or regulations na violations. However, yun nga po, despite the possibilities of those criminal cases later on, at present, unless and until there is clear evidence to the contrary or a court order or decision na nagsabing may criminal violation talaga, pag wala pa po yung mga ganyan, ang presumption po, regular yung paggamit ng pondo ng Office of the Vice President. Okay? Yan po yung value ng isang unmodified opinion, and that applies po not only to the Office of the Vice President of the Philippines but applies to any other government office po na na-issuehan ng unmodified opinion. Okay? Kaya mali po yung sinasabi nila na wala daw value yan kasi posible pa rin naman daw magkaroon ng mga criminal violations and or lapses. Pero yun nga po, unless and until meron ng court order or decision clearly stating na may criminal violation, ang papasok at mag-govern pa rin po is the presumption of regularity in the spending performed by the OVP for the year 2024. Okay? So ngayon punta po tayo sa final discussion natin para mas maintindihan nyo talaga. Okay, so ito po yung example na ibibigay ko sa inyo in relation with the presumption of regularity. So baka po nagtataka kayo bakit nandito po si FPRRD sa example natin. And the reason kung bakit ito po yung binibigay ko na example, para po medyo nasa extreme side tayo. Okay, this is an extreme comparison para mas maintindihan nyo talaga. Kasi if we give extreme examples po kasi, mas madali natin ma-visualize. And isa pa po, si FPRRD kasi pag siya yung pinapag-usapan, it really adds spice po to the discussion in relation to those that are against him or in favor of him. Okay? So of course, pag nandiyan po sa FPRRD, yung mga supporters po niya talagang nabubuhayan. Tapos yung mga anti-FPRRD naman, kung lumalabas din po sa FPRRD, is talagang nabubuhayan din, na kinokontra din siya. So kaya po siya yung lagi kong ginagamit na example para talagang mas makinig po kayo ng mabuti at mas maintindihan nyo po talaga yung discussion natin. Pero anyway po, let's go back to the main discussion po natin regarding this example. So yung gusto ko po i-point out talaga dito is the principle of presumption of regularity. So dito po sa pag-aresto ni FPRRD, one of the defense that was used or the arguments po or the explanation pala given by the DOJ dun sa committee hearing ni Senator Amy Marcos is that there is a presumption of regularity sa pag-aresto kay FPRRD. Okay? So ang point ko lang po dito, since there is also a presumption of regularity dun sa pag-aresto kay FPRRD, therefore ngayon ang status valid yung pag-aresto sa kanya. Walang kidnapping na nagganap, okay? Pero since meron na pong mga pending cases sa Supreme Court regarding his arrest, pwede po ma-rebut yan yung presumption of regularity later on. So kung let's say later on po mag-decide yung Supreme Court na may mga lapses, may violations pag-aresto kay FPRRD, in that situation po, mawawala na yung presumption of regularity sa pag-aresto kay FPRRD. Therefore, yung mga officers involved, yung mga government officials, they can also be held liable for potential or possible criminal violations. Okay? So ganyan din po yun dun sa OVP budget in relation dun sa unmodified opinion. Okay, so ngayon, since unmodified opinion pa lang po yung lumabas kay OVP kay Vice President Sara, there is a presumption of regularity na valid lahat ng transactions niya. So wala pa pong any conclusion na meron siyang illegal na ginawa. Okay, so ganyan lang po yun. Binigay ko lang tong example para mag-gets niyo kung gaano ka-important yung principle of presumption of regularity. Kasi minsan kasi nabablinded tayo by our our political fanaticism. Tapos pag hindi favorable yung principle sa atin, nakalimutan na natin i-apply dun sa mga kalaban natin sa politika, tapos puro lang natin ina-apply yung mga favorable sa atin. Pero anyway, yun lang po yung point ko. So dito sa arrest ng FPRRD at present, there is also presumption of regularity but it can be overturned later on by a court. Ganyan din po yan sa Office of the Vice President. There is presumption of regularity at present but it can also be overturned later on. Okay? So anyway, my main point po talaga is that meron pong value talaga yung isang unmodified opinion, because if an unmodified opinion is issued, it follows that there is a presumption magkaroon of regularity dun sa mga transactions and actions ng isang government office in relation to its spending of its budget. Okay, so yan po yung main point ko. So hopefully, klaro po yun. If you like more legal videos po, may sasuggest po yan sa YouTube algorithm dito sa gilid ng mukha ko. And if you want to be notified po kung meron tayong bagong upload, subscribe lang po kayo sa YouTube channel ko. Until next time, see you all. Bye-bye!